So I think we'll go ahead and jump in. Thank you for being here. You guys know me. I'm Health Coach Gayle, and my company is Y Powered Health Coaching. And what I do is empower women and couples in midlife to up-level their self-care and be intentionally healthy, pushing back on those forces that invite us to be unhealthy. So today we are talking about anxiety that might be rising up around the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. And I know it's a really common thing, but before we jump into that topic, I just want to say that this, like all my coaching um, Zooms and all the things that I do, it's definitely I always want to encourage people to see this as a non-judgmental space that's just encouraging and supportive. So just want to put that out there. So let me see if I can advance my slides. They always get sticky at the beginning for some reason. Okay, so the pillars of whole health that I focus on are mindset, that's the center pillar, and then the other ones that support that are the making healthier whole food choices, prioritizing movement, balancing that with rest, and then being proactive with the stress management. So today, we're kind of focusing on the mindset and the whole foods part of thing, but also stress. I mean, all of these things kind of swirl together, but what happens is when we get them in balance, there's a synergistic effect that takes place, and we can really feel like we're spiraling upward with our health habits. And that's a really great and powerful place to be. So I just want to share this visual because it kind of frames things. We do tend to get caught up in, the executional parts of the health transformation journey. And I think it's good just to kind of have that big picture in mind. So before I jump into the content, I would like to ask you two ladies, if you feel comfortable sharing, if you have specific thoughts, concerns, worries about whatever you might be planning for your Thanksgiving gatherings. What's coming up for you? Because I want to make this time together as valuable for you as possible. So what comes up?
As far as the
Just
eating
anything
portion?
food, any anxiousness. I know for a lot of people, there's just like this anxiety, like it tends to be such a food focused day. And
Yes.
and there's generally all this preparation for it, and everything's food. And then, then it's just, a great tendency for people it's like an eating fest for a lot of people. And, when you're on a health journey and you want to be losing weight, it's hard to not feel anxious around so much food and such a food focused day. So anyway, that's what led me to want to share some ideas and tips around being less anxious around the day. But everybody's got their own, concerns. So I just wondered if you had specific things that were coming up for you as we barrel into the Thanksgiving week.
Gail, I do. This is Pam.
Yep.
So that's like my concerns are that I'm actually preparing the turkey. I am preparing the dinner for Thanksgiving. And so my menu is, so I guess like my anxiety is that in telling myself that if I'm doing the menu, I have control over what I'm fixing
Sure.
that day. And so although I may need to fix things for other people because it's a kind of a traditional type thing, it's like incorporating menu items for myself that aren't going to, make me feel bad about, what's on the menu, and try and stick to being successful with my food choices. And so,
Okay.
so I guess like my thing is like, looking up like, if you're doing cranberries, or is cranberry sauce, like I'm just trying to weigh, is cranberry sauce better than, is X better than Y?
Sure.
making those kinds of choices. And then if,
Healthy substitutions, that kind of thing?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good thing to be thinking about, Pam. And being prepared is such a big part of being successful. When we just kind of show up and wing things, that's when we tend not to do so well. So good for you for thinking about it and prioritizing the time here to kind of talk through it. So my suggestion to you would be to remember that there is a space between healthy and tasty. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. um, you know and when we combine portion control with things, we can enjoy foods. We don't have to be in like a diet restriction mentality around this. But being mindful of our ingredients and our portions and our hunger. If we can combine those things for ourselves, particularly, that's really where our power lies. But certainly, thinking about healthy substitutions. So a real simple example might be, and this is on one of the slides I have to share, and one of the tips. We can think about things as simple as, like, let's say you're preparing something that might call for sour cream, which maybe isn't a Thanksgiving thing, but just a simple example. Um, you know, Greek yogurt is a really healthy, easy substitute for sour cream. It's almost undiscernible in difference in flavor, way lower in fat and calories. So looking for, those simple substitutions and shifts that we can make
Okay.
as we're cooking. And, for baked goods, the looking for opportunities to reduce the added sugar would be a relevant example too. So whether that's using, applesauce or bananas or dates, for example, instead of, added sugar, that's usually a pretty good swap as well.
Those are helpful. So,
But another would be, instead of serving white rolls that are based in white flour, maybe looking for a whole grain alternative instead.
okay. I've been I don't know. I get so happy over like small little finds, but I just found some Kodiak pancake mix
yeah.
that's percent whole grains, and so I have another breakfast choice that's healthy for me. And I just anyway kind of stumbled on that this week, and then I put blueberries in it, and it tastes so good, and it's
That's
it's
right.
whole grain. So anyway, that's kind of like that was my like happy moment that I found something good for
Yeah.
breakfast. Like,
It's those small changes made consistently over time that add up to big shifts. So you just keep looking for those little tweaks and making them consistently.
So there was three things that you had mentioned. I got substitute for cream cheese as Greek yogurt, roll substitute. Did you say whole grain?
Yes.
Okay, and then
Oof.
there was a third one I missed.
Added sugar. So really good substitutes for that in baking would be applesauce, bananas, or dates.
Okay.
Those are great sweeteners made from, whole foods. I was doing this talk yesterday with another group of ladies, and I said to them, I have a sweet tooth, and I love to cook and bake. I can't remember the last time I put pure sugar in anything.
really?
I mean, I think it's somewhere in my house, but I don't, I mean, in one of my canisters, with flour and stuff. I can't remember the time I made hummingbird food out of it. I remember, I think that's the last time I opened that jar. It's just kind of become unnecessary. There's so many healthier alternatives. You know,
Right.
but if you're making pie, um, you know, that might be a little bit different story. I can't say, I've made pie without, you know, real sugar, but you know, there's a lot of alternatives. I'll give you a quick example. I found a recipe just going through social media, you know, the reels, those little videos that come up. I'm going to make this and take it to my sister-in-law's house on Thursday. It looks so good. It was like a little in a muffin tin, and you take frozen raspberries and you puree it and you put it in the muffin tin with like some nut butter and some oats and I don't remember the other things, but it made it look like a little miniature pie. And I got some dark chocolate that you melt, and I got some that was healthier than regular chocolate. And so it's going to look like a little pie, but much healthier than, you know, kind
Well,
of the
that's,
average without added sugar. So just looking for those little tweaks that are a little bit healthier that we can feel good about, not just in our body, but in our heads too. Okay, well, feel free to jump in, you know, as we go, but I have a couple of points that I can share with you all that hopefully will be helpful. And one thing that we can do, which I sort of alluded to earlier, is just being more mindful as we go into the day and being more attuned to our physical hunger, being more present. You know, there's usually a lot of chaos, you know, if you're having family and cooking and a lot of things going on, it's easy to sort of lose touch with and being how hungry you really are and kind of be outside of our physical selves. But when we are sitting down to a meal, if we can just take a real pause, you know, especially at the beginning of a meal, whether that's through prayer or, you know, simply drinking a glass of water before eating and connecting to your breath, slowing down and then really savoring those bites as you eat, allowing time for your food to for the hormones of your stomach to reach your brain to signal that you're full. Because if you're eating fast, you know, you're much more likely to kind of miss it and then suddenly be full because you have eaten so quickly. And then being really mindful of the portion control. So one tip you can put into practice here would be, and I think this is really practical, whether it's a buffet or, you know, a big meal like at Thanksgiving when you have a lot of food being passed around. I like to encourage clients to do this. Take a little bit of whatever looks good to you. Just a couple bites worth. Put it on your plate. Don't load up your plate, but just a little bit of each thing you want. And then after you've tasted everything that you want, you can say, oh, what is it, you know, of all these things, what did I really like? And then allow yourself to go back and have more of those things. Because some things might be just kind of, okay. And you don't need more of those. Because what can happen is, you know, if we have it on our plate already, even though it might be just kind of, we're probably going to eat it. But find the things that really make you hum. All right. And enjoy those to as much as you can, because that's going to lead to being satisfied. And when you're satisfied, you're less likely to be overeating. So finding balance. And a couple of things to think about here, being vegetable centric, especially if you can start with that, because that's fiber and that's where all the nutrients are. And that's what's going to lead to feelings of fullness. And when it comes to carbohydrates, make sure they're complex carbs. So instead of, you know, the simple carbs that are, you know, white flour, added sugar, those kinds of things, focus on the complex ones, you know, the whole grains, you know, brown rice, whole grain rolls. This afternoon for lunch, I had a bowl of farro, which is an ancient grain filled with lots of different veggies, and I'll be full for hours. So, and then lean proteins. So for example, if you're eating turkey, you know, the white meat is, if you like them equally, you know, the white is leaner than the dark, for example. And then really watching out for the added sugars and looking for those healthy swaps, like we talked about earlier. And when we talk about balance, you know, this is really just the idea of avoiding the extremes, you know, not starving, not stuffing. But here's another practical tip. I hear from a lot of people, oh gosh, I know I'm going to be eating a lot at the Thanksgiving meal, so I'll skip breakfast. Bad idea.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about restriction so we can go the other way. Because what happens for a lot of people, they end up showing up for that big meal and they're ravenous. And there's a mentality of like, oh, well, I haven't eaten anything, so I can, you know, not only can, but I will end up kind of going overboard. So it's like you would have been better off just having a normal, solid breakfast of complex carbs and proteins, and then go into your meal just like any other meal and find that balanced place. So another tip would be make sure you're active that day. If you can, in the morning before you have that meal, and but also after. And you know, it doesn't have to be some strenuous workout, but even if it's just a walk around the neighborhood, or you know, have a dance party, or you know, if there are kids around, you know, encouraging them to play a game, whatever it might be. But the more we can not just go from table to couch, you know, the better. And then the alcohol and dessert is a really common trap for people. And just so it's worthy of just noting here that alcohol, yeah, it skews our ability to make generally good portion control decisions. The recommended healthy max for women is 1 drink a day, 2 for men. So being mindful about that, and then to think about it like dessert, you know, because it's devoid of any nutrition and it slows our metabolism. So it's really best to be minimized. And then when it comes to dessert, you know, this is for most people a highlight of Thanksgiving, and that's fine. You know, pace yourself. And, you know, if there are multiple ones to choose from, which there often are, take a little bit of each, enjoy it. And, you know, don't beat yourself up about it. I suggest to people that they use the 3-bite rule with that to enjoy the dessert in moderation. It's a good way to do it. But trying to stay away from the day being a food fest and stuffing yourself is a good place to be. So any questions about those tips? Those things
Can I
make
just ask you one question, Gail? When you did you say that the white meat versus dark meat, which one is
yeah, white is leaner.
leaner? Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
that's why it tends to taste kind of more dry.
Dry. Okay.
Yeah, the dark. I don't know how much leaner, but it, yeah. But if you don't like white meat, then eat the
No,
dark.
I do. I prefer the white over the dark. So glad.
So a couple of power tools I wanted to just offer up. I have video modules I offer to people that are focused on mindset, food choices, movement, and stress management. Those are available if people want or need reinforcement. And then the 3-bite rule. Do you guys know what that is? If you need it, I have a little graphic about what that is and how you can use it. It's a great power tool. Some of my clients that I've worked with years ago, I'll run into them and they'll say, I still use the 3-bite rule.
I just viewed the food choice module video too, and it discussed the 3-bite rule, and I'm using that, you know, when I'm faced with something that's like, okay, I've got my 3 bites, and then you know, it's just like, and you know, there's truth to that, because like I've tasted it and I really savor that last bite. And
Yeah.
you know, I will say that, you know, I've done it twice now, and I really was satisfied. I thought, you know, I don't need any more. I got to taste it and I've enjoyed it. And, you know, this is really all I want.
It's a
So,
wonderful tool to be able to say, especially when their desserts are involved, or, you know, just say, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I can't have that. But you can, and you can just learn to enjoy those high calorie, low nutrient things in moderation. So I'm glad you're using it, Pam.
I know my sister-in-law, she teased me because I was sharing that with her. She said, yes, but she said, what size are your bites? And I said, okay, well now they're, I'm like, okay, now they're, you know, they're not, you know, she's trying to,
Diamond spoon.
you know, poke the bear.
It's a work in progress.
It is.
So the last thing I wanted to suggest, if there's something that's really gnawing at you, like, oh, I'm so worried about those desserts, for example, simply putting something in writing, setting an intention, getting it out of your head, putting it down on a piece of paper, so powerful. You know, it to say, okay, I'm going to limit myself to one piece of pumpkin pie and enjoy the heck out of it. Write it down, and you go into the day, and you know, the chances of you following through with that, having just written it down, are so much higher than if you just thought about it. And you can even increase that if you share that intention with someone. It's a power of goal setting. So if you really want to, and it works with really anything that you want, you know, I want to finish the day feeling in charge, and I don't want to feel, it's usually more powerful if it's a positive intention instead of a negative thing. So if you want to feel, if you think, I don't want to feel stuffed and uncomfortable, then you would turn that into a positive statement, and you could write that down, for example, and reinforce it with yourself. Those positive affirmations are so powerful. So again, the mindset, most powerful pillar in this journey. And when we can go into a day like Thanksgiving, feeling like we're in charge, and feeling confident that we have the power to make those decisions for ourselves, and it really can shift things. So any comments or questions about that?
No, I like the spiral upward, you know, when you said, instead of, you know, you're kind of looking at it as a downer, but then when you said, I've been making notes, and I just said, you know, with my mindset, my whole foods, and my less stress, I can spiral upward versus down.
Yeah. Well, it's, you know, some days will feel like that, but the most important thing is recognizing, okay, you know, it was a day, you know, nobody's perfect.
Right.
Saying, you know,
The work.
tomorrow I can shift back into a more intentional state, and get these pillars realigned and start spiraling upward again.
Okay. It's a work in progress. I
Always.
have to
Yeah.
remember there's going to
So,
be.
yeah, there's always days that are more of a struggle than others. Sure. So, there's only 6 weeks left in this year. I
Wow.
read that this morning in reading the online news. I was like, ah, how can it be? Anyway, I just wanted to mention, I'm offering a Finish Fit and Strong program. It's a 30-day kickstart program that's focused on mindset and positive accountability and affirmations and support. So that's available for people who need that boost. But my mantra is together we can. We can go so much further when we don't go it alone. So that's all the content I have for you ladies today. I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up or that do come up for you between now and the holiday. But Dana, are you traveling? Are you cooking for family? What do you?
No, we're going to my sister's, and I have a breakfast to go to and they're all cooking. I'm probably gonna make something for my sisters, but she just hasn't told me what to bring yet. And the 3-bite roll, I kind of like that.
Mhm.
And I've been contemplating on doing a lot of there was a lady the other night, Friday night, that I was out with, and she was telling me that she went on a carb, she was counting her carbs, and I haven't actually dove into it, so I right now I find that hard.
Yeah.
But she said it's easy once you jump in and you start doing it. She told me that Atkins is a carb, but I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to start that way, or I know you're shaking your head. I just don't know how to start.
Well,
Or is carb counting, is that
yeah,
good, bad, indifferent?
I would just say unnecessary.
Okay.
Generally, I would, I mean, let me preface that. Everybody is different, but I can tell you, just like from my experience and personally, and as a coach, I encourage people to be more aware and intentional through label reading and paying attention to like what portions are and ingredients and knowing the difference between a healthy carb and an unhealthy carb and how much added sugar and how much what chemicals.
And she said to take the sugar out too.
Yeah. So if you just focus on minimizing white flour, which is basically simple carbs, and added sugar, there you go. It's really not necessary to count things. I mean, if that's helpful to someone, you can. But I've helped so many people lose weight without ever counting anything. So
and I'm fine with that. I just have to learn how to manage everything, I guess.
Yeah. So that's kind of in a way sort of like that's sort of an external authority. So if you can have the saying, this is how much I should have, it's good to have a general, okay, good carbs, bad carbs. But tuning into tuning into your hunger and trusting that and paying attention to what food helps you feel good and what food doesn't, like making, because it's really hard for a lot of people, I think, to, it's important to develop that connection. Oh, when I eat this, or when I eat this much, this is how I feel. Because a lot of times the time lag between when you eat and when that feeling hits isn't always, it's not always a direct connection.
Right.
But there's also the cumulative effect. You know, when
Mhm.
we're eating really well over time, our energy, you know, goes like this.
I just
But
have to
if,
find that, I just have to find that balance, the good foods that make me feel good, the
yeah,
portion control.
yes. Yeah, it's all about the balance.
Mhm.
And you know, no one is perfect, me included. Um, but what happens over time, the more kind of calibrated you get with it,
Mhm.
the more sensitive your body becomes. So when you do kind of veer off the road, if you will,
Mhm.
like, okay,
Sure.
imagine you're like driving, you know,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
and
for sure.
and you know, it's like, okay, I'm eating Doritos again or something.
Right.
When that does happen,
Mhm.
you're gonna feel it more, and you're gonna go,
You're gonna feel sluggish. Yep.
yeah, and then it kind of gets reinforced like, you know what? It's not really, it tasted good, but
Right.
it's not really worth
It
the,
didn't make me feel good.
yeah. But
Right.
when you're like on the road and holding on to that steering wheel and fueling your body well with the whole grains and the fresh fruit and vegetables and the really good stuff, and it's like you know, your engine is running really well. You're
Sure.
like, oh my God, you know, it's that spiraling upward.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much positive reinforcement, and you just want to keep doing it, and that's where the habit formation happens.
Got it. That makes sense. That makes
That-
total sense. I just have to dive in and do it.
Yeah, so
That's my
but
goal.
it's, yeah, it's always every day we have an opportunity to make those healthier choices, be more
Right.
mindful.
Mm-hmm.
Are you keeping a food log, Dana?
I am not. I was told to do that too.
Yeah, I would, between keeping a food log and reading labels, those are two really powerful practices. They take time and they can feel kind of tedious, especially when you start, but the awareness that happens through those two things is really big, because you
Like
can,
the
you know
labels
what,
meaning like the sugars and all that stuff.
I'm sorry.
Like the label reading for like how much sugar and
Yeah.
stuff is in it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So the guideline, if you're like looking at products and comparing, oh, is this one, does this healthy or not so much? 7 grams of added sugar is kind of the tipping point
Okay.
for starting to be excessive for added sugar.
Okay.
Uh, but you have to pay attention to the portion too, because like that can be really tricky because it's not really standardized. So, like an example would be if you're looking at ice cream and it
Mm-hmm.
says it's a half a cup, nobody eats a half a cup of ice cream.
Right.
So you got to say, okay, what's reasonable for me? And if it's twice that, then you double the sugar.
Okay.
But the fruit, the sweetness and
Mm-hmm.
the sugar that comes from fruit, it's good. It's fine. 2 servings of fruit a day, totally healthy for us. So you don't need to worry about that. I know the keto diet kind of demonized carbs and fruit, and it's just crazy.
Okay. I'm writing it all in my phone.
Yeah, it's the added sugar that we need to minimize in our diets.
So
And I can send you,
I could sit here and eat fruit all the time, but
yeah,
I I have to the 2 servings of fruit per day, that's good to go by.
yeah.
That gives me a
And I can send you, I'll shoot you an email with a graphic for that 3-bite rule that explains it a little bit more.
okay, sure.
Yeah. So, but just, you know, being patient with yourself, and, you know, we can't ever beat ourselves into change.
Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to starting this change. I need to get something moving. I keep saying I'm gonna do it, and
Yeah.
I don't follow through. So I definitely need to follow through.
Well, if I can be of support to you.
I appreciate that.
Sure. All right, ladies. Well, I'm wishing you both a fabulous Thanksgiving
You as
and
well.
You
finish
too.
this year strong. It's it's common to let the holiday busyness and festivities and parties and um, it's easy to kind of have a little bit of a spiral down as the year comes to a close, and then people go, "Oh, it's January. Now I'm going to take care of myself." Don't do that.
Right.
I know.
No, we want to finish strong.
It's day by
Great.
day.
Yes. Yeah. Keep your self-care on your own priority list every day.
Definitely.
This helped. Thank you for taking the time to do this. I've made some notes and
Yeah.
I'm going to put my intentions in writing so that
Okay.
I'll have that as a kind of like I'll put it on my mirror in my bathroom.
Great. Yeah. That's wonderful, Pam. And if you do the positive affirmations, one little tip on that, if you put your name in the front of it and say it out loud, it's even more powerful.
That
Pam,
you all-
for example, Pam is someone who is satisfied with one serving. Pam is someone who exercises daily. And it may sound weird to talk about yourself in the third person, but the people who've studied this kind of psychology and the psychology and power of affirmations, they tell us that's the most powerful way to use them. It's about transforming your identity.
Well, and and that's the mindset. It's not something that happens overnight. It's very slow, but like putting those new ideas and thoughts and and knowing that the reward or how I feel is greater than having that food choice that I might have had before. So it's just like, when I weigh those in my mind, it's like, well, which would you rather have? And
Right.
like right now, it's just like, I'm feeling good and I'm feeling better and I'm moving better. And I don't want to go back. I just want to keep moving forward. So I know that I have to keep all of these all of the pillars in place, or all of the things that I'm doing for myself. It's not just one thing. It's a whole combination of.
It is. It's not one single thing. It's so
No.
funny that you just said that, Pam, because Jean, my greatest success story, she's down 143 pounds. Her why power statement, she's changed it a couple times over the years, but right now it's keep moving forward, never going back.
Amen.
She knows she'll never be that person she was before, who didn't take care of herself.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good power statement. Very true. I agree with it.
Yeah, it works for her. So, all right, ladies, have a wonderful rest of your day. And
You as well.
You too, Gayle. Nice to meet you, Dana.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.